Captain Park Tae-ho stood on the bridge of the Eternal Dawn and watched the stars shift around him. The jump drive had done its work. They were no longer in human space. They were somewhere new, somewhere that no human ship had ever been before. The Eternal Dawn was not just any ship. It was Earth's first Dreadnought. 2 kilometers of metal, weapons, and power. It had taken humanity 50 years to build it. 50 years of work, sacrifice, and hope. And now, it was finally ready to meet the galaxy. "Jump complete, Captain," said Lieutenant Kim Hana from her station. Her voice was calm, but Tae-ho could see the excitement in her eyes. "We are now in Sector 7 of the Galactic Council's territory." Tae-ho nodded slowly. The Galactic Council. Humanity had learned about them only 10 years ago. A radio signal from deep space had changed everything. The galaxy was not empty. There were other species out there, hundreds of them. They had formed a council that ruled over 12 star systems, and they had never contacted Earth. Not once in 10,000 years. "Begin scanning," Tae-ho ordered. "Let them know we are here." The bridge crew worked in silence. Officer Cho Soo-min handled communications. Engineer Baek Dong-woo monitored the ship's systems. Navigator Yoon Ji-won plotted their position. They were the best crew Earth had to offer. The scanner found something almost immediately. "Captain," Hana said, her voice suddenly tense. "I am detecting multiple ships. Hundreds of them. They are all around us." Tae-ho felt his heart beat faster, but he kept his face calm. On screen, the main display lit up with images. Ships of all sizes and shapes floated in space. Some were small and fast, others were large and slow. They had different colors and designs. None of them looked like anything from Earth, and all of them were running away. "They are retreating," Soo-min said with confusion. "All of them. Every single ship is moving away from us at maximum speed." Tae-ho frowned. This was not what he had expected. The Eternal Dawn was powerful, yes. But these aliens had numbers. They had technology that humanity could only dream about. Why would they run? "Open a communication channel," he ordered. "All frequencies. Let them know we come in peace." Soo-min worked quickly. "Channel, open. Captain, this is Captain Park Tae-ho of the Earth vessel Eternal Dawn," he said clearly. "We come in peace. We wish to make contact with the Galactic Council. Please respond." Silence filled the bridge. The alien ships continued to flee. Minutes passed with no answer. Then, finally, a signal came through. "Captain," Soo-min said, "we are receiving a transmission. It is coming from a station near the 3rd planet." "Put it through." The screen changed to show an alien face. It was not human. The creature had blue skin and large black eyes. Its head was oval-shaped, and it had no hair. When it spoke, its voice was high and trembling. "Earth vessel. This is Ambassador Chorus, of the Villani species. I speak on behalf of the Galactic Council." The alien paused and took a shaky breath. "Please. We surrender. Do not destroy us." Tae-ho blinked in surprise. He looked at his crew. They all wore the same confused expression. "Ambassador Chorus," Tae-ho said slowly. "There seems to be a misunderstanding. We have not fired any weapons. We have not made any threats. We are simply here to make contact." "Tae-ho," the alien's large eyes grew even wider. "You do not understand. The prophecy told us this day would come. A ship from the dead zone. A ship of impossible size. It would arrive, and the galaxy would burn." "Dead zone?" Tae-ho asked. "What do you mean?" Chorus seemed to struggle with his words. "Your region of space. Earth's system. For 10,000 years, no ship that entered that area ever returned. We call it the dead zone. We believed nothing could survive there." The bridge was completely silent. Tae-ho felt a cold feeling spread through his chest. Humanity had never known about this. They had thought they were alone in the galaxy, but the truth was much stranger. "Ambassador," Tae-ho said carefully, "we are humans. We have lived in our system for thousands of years. We did not know about your counsel or your prophecy. We are not here to destroy anyone. Chorus shook his head rapidly. That is what the prophecy said you would claim. First, you would speak of peace. Then, the killing would begin. Please, Captain, I am begging you. Our children are innocent. Our worlds are peaceful. We have done nothing to offend you. Tejo felt something heavy settle in his stomach. This was wrong. All of it was wrong. Humanity had dreamed of meeting aliens for centuries. They had imagined many things. War, trade, friendship. But they had never imagined this. Fear, pure, absolute fear. Sumin, Tejo said quietly. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them what is happening here. Tell them we need guidance. Yes, Captain. Tejo turned back to the screen. Ambassador Chorus was still there, shaking with terror. Ambassador, Tejo said gently. I give you my word. The Eternal Dawn will not fire on anyone today. We will wait here. We will not approach your planets or your stations. But I need you to do something for me. Chorus looked surprised. What do you want? Tell me about this prophecy. Tell me why you are so afraid. Because I promise you, Ambassador, humanity is not your enemy. We never have been. The alien was quiet for a long moment. His fear was still there, written on every part of his strange face. But there was something else now. A tiny spark of hope. Very well, Captain, Chorus said finally. I will tell you everything. But please, understand. If the prophecy is true, then nothing any of us do will matter. The end has already begun. Tejo leaned forward in his chair. The stars outside were beautiful and cold. The alien ships were still fleeing in every direction, and somewhere out there, in the vast darkness of space, something had made an entire galaxy afraid. He needed to find out what it was. 3 days had passed since the Eternal Dawn arrived in Galactic Council space. 3 days of silence, fear, and waiting. Fleet Admiral Lee Yuna received the reports from her office on Earth. She read every word carefully. Captain Tejo had done well. He had stayed calm when the aliens fled. He had tried to communicate. He had not fired a single shot. But now, something new had happened. Admiral, said her assistant, a young man named Kang Ji-hyun. The Council has sent another message. They want to meet with you directly. Yuna looked up from her desk. Me? Why me? They say you are the leader of Earth's military forces. They want to negotiate surrender terms. Yuna closed her eyes and took a deep breath. This was madness. Earth had sent one ship into the galaxy. One ship. And now, 12 star systems wanted to surrender. Prepare my shuttle, she said. I will go to them myself. The journey took 2 weeks. Yuna traveled through space that no human had ever seen before. She passed planets covered in purple forests. She saw moons that glowed like lanterns. She watched alien ships speed away whenever her shuttle came close. Finally, she arrived at the Council station. It was massive. A ring of metal the size of a small moon, floating in the darkness between stars. Lights covered every surface. Ships docked along its edges like fish at a reef. A single alien ship came to guide her shuttle inside. Yuna walked through the station's corridors alone. She had refused to bring guards. She wanted the aliens to see that she was not afraid. That Earth was not afraid. The council chamber was the largest room she had ever seen. It was round, with seats rising up on every side. Each seat held an alien. Hundreds of them. Different species, different shapes, different colors. They all watched her with silent eyes. In the center of the room stood a platform. Ambassador Chorus was waiting there. He looked tired and worn. Fleet Admiral Lee Yuna, he said formally. Thank you for coming. Thank you for inviting me, Yuna replied. She stepped onto the platform beside him. I understand. You wish to discuss surrender. A wave of sound passed through the chamber. Whispers and clicks and strange noises. The aliens were reacting to her words. An alien in the highest seat spoke. It was tall and thin, with silver skin and 4 arms. "I am High Counselor Marin, of the Talvar species. I lead this council." The alien's voice was deep and slow. "Admiral Yuna, we must ask you a question before we continue. Ask. Why has Earth sent its Dreadnought to our space? What do you want from us?" Yuna thought carefully before answering. "We want nothing but friendship. We want trade, knowledge, and peace. Humanity has been alone for a very long time. We hope to find friends among the stars." Silence filled the chamber. Then, slowly, a strange sound began. It took Yuna a moment to realize what it was. Laughter. But not happy laughter. It was the laughter of creatures who had lost all hope. "Friends," Marin said bitterly. "The ship of doom comes seeking friends." The counselor shook its silver head. "Admiral, do you truly not know? Do you not understand what your presence means?" "No," Yuna admitted. "Captain Tejo reported that you spoke of a prophecy. But we know nothing of it." Marin gestured with one of its 4 arms. A hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed ancient symbols and strange writing. 8,000 years ago, Marin began, a great war nearly destroyed all life in this galaxy. The enemy was called the Harrow. They were machines, not like your computers or robots. They were a plague. A sickness that infected ships and stations and turned them into weapons. The hologram changed. It showed planets burning, ships torn apart, billions of lives ending in fire and darkness. The Harrow consumed everything, Marin continued. They could not be stopped. Every weapon failed. Every defense fell. Species that had existed for millions of years were wiped out in days. Yuna felt cold. "What happened? How did you survive?" "We did not defeat them. We could not. But somehow, the Harrow stopped. They went silent. They returned to the edge of the galaxy and entered a deep sleep." Marin paused. Before they stopped, they spoke one final message. A warning. A prophecy. The hologram changed again. This time, it showed words in hundreds of different languages. Yuna could read the English translation clearly. "When the ship of impossible size emerges from the dead zone, the Harrow will wake. The final war will begin. And nothing in the galaxy will survive." The chamber was completely silent. Yuna stared at the words floating in the air. "The dead zone," she said quietly. "That is what you call our home?" "Yes," Chorus said softly. "For thousands of years, every ship we sent to your region of space vanished. We believed nothing could live there. We never imagined that intelligent life could survive in such a place. And now," Marin added, "a ship has emerged. A ship larger than anything in our records. A ship from the dead zone." The counselor's voice was heavy with despair. "The prophecy has begun, Admiral. The Harrow will wake, and we will all die." Yuna stood in silence for a long moment. She looked at the faces around her. Hundreds of aliens, all watching her with the same expression. Fear, hopelessness, acceptance of death. But Yuna was human. And humans did not accept death so easily. "High Counselor," she said firmly. "I do not believe in prophecies. I believe in facts. And the facts are these. Earth has sent one ship into your space. One ship. Seeking peace. We have not woken any ancient machines. We have not started any wars. The prophecy cannot be wrong," Marin said. "Then perhaps you have misunderstood it." Yuna stepped forward. "You say the dead zone kills everything that enters. But we live there. We have always lived there. Perhaps there is something special about our region of space. Something that you do not understand." Chorus looked at her with wide eyes. "What are you suggesting?" "I am suggesting that we stop being afraid and start asking questions." Yuna turned to face the entire council. "Send your scientists to Earth. Study our space. Learn why we survived when others did not. Because if the Harrow truly do wake, then running and surrendering will not save you." She raised her chin high. but working with humanity might. The chamber erupted in noise. Aliens shouted and argued. Some screamed in fear. Others called for silence. Marin raised all four arms, and slowly the room grew quiet. "You ask us to trust the very thing we fear," the counselor said. "Yes," Una replied. "I do. Because fear has done nothing for you in 8,000 years. Perhaps it is time to try something different." The silence that followed was the heaviest Una had ever felt. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. And it all depended on what these frightened aliens decided next. Lieutenant Moon Daesung did not sleep much anymore. Ever since the Council agreed to share their historical records with Earth, he had been studying without rest. Thousands of years of data. Millions of files. All of it stored in the Eternal Dawn's computers. And buried in all that information was a secret that no one had noticed. Daesung was the ship's chief analyst. His job was to find patterns in data, to see things that others missed. And right now, he was seeing something very strange. "Computer," he said quietly. "Show me all records related to the dead zone." The screen in front of him lit up with thousands of files. Maps, reports, failed missions. All of them said the same thing. Ships that entered Earth's region of space never returned. But that was not entirely true. "Filter results," Daesung said. "Show only records from before the HFY War." The number of files dropped dramatically. Only a few hundred remained. Daesung began reading them one by one. Hours passed. His eyes grew tired. But then he found it. A single report, written 8,000 years ago. It described a research mission to the edge of the dead zone. The ship had not been destroyed. It had returned safely, and the crew had made a discovery. "What is this?" Daesung whispered. He read the report 3 times to make sure he understood it correctly. The dead zone was not naturally dangerous. Something was protecting it. A field of energy that surrounded Earth's entire region of space. The ancient researchers had called it the barrier. But the most important detail was at the very end of the report. The barrier had not always existed. It was created. Built by someone, or something, exactly when the HFY War began. Daesung sat back in his chair. His mind was racing. If the barrier was artificial, that meant someone had deliberately isolated Earth from the rest of the galaxy. Someone had hidden humanity away while the HFY destroyed everything else. But who? And why? He needed to find more answers. Daesung searched through more files. He found references to an ancient species called the Makers. They had existed long before the Galactic Council. Their technology was beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen, and they had disappeared completely during the HFY War. "Computer," Daesung said. "Search for any connection between the Makers and the dead zone." The computer worked for several minutes. Then it found something. A single image. An ancient piece of art from a species that no longer existed. It showed tall figures standing around a blue planet. Earth. The figures were placing something in orbit, a device of some kind. And below the image was a caption, written in a language that the computer could barely translate. "The children of Earth must sleep until the darkness returns. Only they can end what we could not stop." Daesung felt his blood run cold. The prophecy. Everyone thought it meant destruction. But they had read it wrong. The ship from the dead zone was not meant to start the final war. It was meant to end it. Humanity was not the enemy. They were the cure. Daesung grabbed his communication device. "Captain Taeho! Admiral Yuna! Anyone! I need to speak with you immediately." 20 minutes later, Daesung stood in the main conference room of the Eternal Dawn. Captain Taeho sat at the head of the table. Admiral Yuna appeared on a screen. Joining from the council station, Ambassador Chorus was there too, watching nervously. "Lieutenant," Taeho said, "what have you found?" Daesung took a deep breath and began explaining. He showed them the ancient report about the barrier. He showed them the image of the Makers around Earth. He read them the translated caption. When he finished, the room was silent. "You are saying," Chorus said slowly, "that humans were deliberately protected? That someone hid you from the HFY?" "Yes," Daesung replied. "The Makers knew they could not defeat the HFY. So they found another way. They created a safe place where a species could grow without being infected, without being touched by the machine plague. But why us? Admiral Yuna asked. Why humans? Dae-sung shook his head. I do not know. Maybe we were just lucky. Maybe Earth was in the right place, at the right time, or maybe the Makers saw something in our ancestors that we cannot see ourselves. Chorus was trembling. If this is true, then the prophecy was not a warning of doom. It was a message of hope. Exactly, Dae-sung said. The Harrow are machines. They spread like a disease from ship to ship. Every species in this galaxy has been in contact with the infected areas. But Earth was sealed away. We have never been exposed to the Harrow. Taeho understood immediately. We might be immune. More than that, Dae-sung said. Our technology might be incompatible with theirs. Our computers, our ships, our systems. Everything we have was built in complete isolation. The Harrow might not be able to infect us at all. The silence that followed was different from before. It was not the silence of fear. It was the silence of realization. 8,000 years, Chorus whispered. For 8,000 years, we waited for the end. We never imagined that salvation would come from the very thing we feared most. Admiral Yuna leaned forward on the screen. Her eyes were sharp and focused. Lieutenant, we need to confirm this. We need proof that humans are truly immune to the Harrow. I know, Dae-sung said. But there is a problem. The only way to be certain is to find the Harrow themselves. To test our technology against theirs. Taeho's face was serious. You want us to wake them up? No, Captain. I want us to be ready when they wake up on their own. Dae-sung looked around the room. Because according to the files I found, the Harrow have been getting closer to waking for centuries. Small movements, tiny signals. The Galactic Council ignored them because they were too afraid to investigate. How long? Yuna asked. How long until they fully wake? Dae-sung looked at his notes. His hands were shaking slightly. Based on the patterns I found, I estimate we have between 3 months and 1 year. After that, the Harrow will rise. And they will be hungry. The weight of those words settled over everyone in the room. 3 months, maybe a year. That was all the time they had to prepare for a war that had almost destroyed the galaxy once before. Captain Taeho stood up slowly. His face was calm, but his eyes were burning with determination. Then we have work to do, he said. Lieutenant, prepare a full report for Earth Command. Ambassador Chorus, contact the Council. Tell them everything. He looked at the stars through the window. Somewhere out there, ancient machines were beginning to stir. Humanity did not come to this galaxy to start a war, Taeho said quietly. But if war is coming, we will be ready to finish it. The warning came at midnight. Earth time. Alarms screamed across every ship and station in the galaxy. Sensors that had been silent for 8,000 years suddenly came alive with terrible data. The Harrow had awakened. Captain Taeho was on the bridge of the Eternal Dawn within seconds. His crew was already at their stations, their faces pale with worry. Report, he ordered. Lieutenant Hana's voice was tight with fear. Captain, we are detecting massive energy signatures at the edge of the galaxy. Thousands of them, maybe millions. The main screen showed a map of known space. At the far edge, a red wave was spreading outward. Ships, countless ships, all moving in the same direction, toward the populated systems. How long until they reach the nearest council world? Taeho asked. At their current speed, approximately 6 weeks. 6 weeks. Lieutenant Dae-sung had estimated they would have months. He had been wrong. A communication signal came through. It was High Counselor Marin, appearing on a smaller screen. The alien's silver face was filled with despair. Captain Taeho, Marin said, you have seen the readings. The Harrow are moving faster than our records predicted. Our defenses will not be ready in time. The 11 defenses. The Kasig dot. The 11 defenses. How many ships does the Council have? Taeho asked. 30,000 combat vessels across all species. But it does not matter. Our weapons did not work against the Harrow before. They will not work now. Tae-ho gripped the arms of his chair. What about evacuation? Can you move your populations to safety? Marin made a sound that might have been bitter laughter. Where would we go? The Harrow will spread across the entire galaxy. There is no safe place. There never was. The bridge fell silent. Outside the windows, the stars looked the same as always, peaceful and distant. But death was coming for all of them. Then a new voice spoke through the communication system. Captain Tae-ho, this is Admiral Yuna. I am sending new orders from Earth Command. Tae-ho straightened in his seat. Admiral, what are our instructions? Earth has made a decision. Yuna's voice was firm and strong. We are sending everything we have. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier. The full strength of Earth's military will join this fight. Maren's eyes went wide. You would risk your entire species? For us? You are not the only ones living in this galaxy, Yuna replied. If the Harrow win here, they will eventually find Earth too. We would rather fight alongside you than wait alone. Something changed in the chamber's atmosphere. The aliens watching this conversation looked at each other with expressions Tae-ho could not fully read. Surprise? Confusion? Hope? How many ships can Earth send? Marin asked quietly. We have 7 dreadnoughts like the Eternal Dawn, 200 cruisers, 500 destroyers, thousands of fighters and support craft. That is still not enough to defeat the Harrow. No. Yuna agreed. But Lieutenant Dae-sung's research suggests that our technology may be immune to their infection. Our ships might be able to fight when yours cannot. Tae-ho understood what the Admiral was saying. Earth's fleet would become the shield. They would stand at the front while the Council species recovered and regrouped. It was a desperate plan. It was probably suicide, but it was also the only chance they had. Admiral, Tae-ho said slowly, the Eternal Dawn is the fastest ship in our fleet. We can reach the Harrow before anyone else. We can test our immunity and gather information. I know, Yuna said. That is why I am ordering you to lead the first strike. Captain, you will take your ship to the front lines. You will engage the Harrow directly and confirm whether our weapons and defenses work against them. The bridge crew exchanged worried looks. Officer Sumin's hands trembled over her console. Engineer Dongwu gripped his station until his knuckles turned white, but none of them objected. They had signed up for this mission, knowing the risks. They would not run now. Understood, Admiral, Tae-ho said. We will depart immediately. Marin spoke again. Captain, wait. I must say something. The alien counselor paused, struggling with words. For 8,000 years, we looked at the dead zone with fear. We called your region of space cursed. We never tried to contact you because we believed nothing good could come from that place. The silver face seemed to crumple with emotion. We were wrong. We were so terribly wrong. You came to us seeking friendship, and we offered you only fear and suspicion. And now, you are willing to die for us. Tae-ho did not know what to say, but Ambassador Chorus stepped forward on the screen. Captain, the blue-skinned alien said, I was the first to speak with you when you arrived. I was terrified. I begged you not to destroy us. Chorus took a shaky breath. Now I am begging you again. Please survive this. Please show us that the prophecy was right after all, that humanity came to save us, not to end us. Something tight formed in Tae-ho's chest. He thought of Earth, of his family back home, of all the people who were counting on this mission. Ambassador, he said quietly, I cannot promise that we will win, but I can promise that we will try. Humanity has never been good at giving up. It is not in our nature. He turned to his crew. Each face showed fear, but also determination. They were ready. Navigator Yoon, Tae-ho commanded. Plot a course to the Harrow fleet. Maximum speed. Yes, Captain. Officer Cho, send a message to the rest of our fleet. Tell them to follow as quickly as they can. Yes, Captain. Engineer Bake, I want all weapons at full power. Every system needs to be perfect. Understood, Captain. The Eternal Dawn began to move. Its massive engines roared to life, pushing the Dreadnought forward into the darkness. Behind them, the Council watched in silence. Thousands of aliens who had spent their lives believing that humanity would destroy them. Now those same people could only watch and hope that humans would save them instead. Tejo stared at the stars ahead. Somewhere in that direction, an ancient enemy was waiting. Machines that had nearly ended all life in the galaxy. Creatures that felt no mercy, no fear, no doubt. But they had never faced humans before. "All hands," Tejo announced over the ship's speakers. "This is the captain. In a few weeks, we will make contact with the Harrow. Many of us may not survive, but remember why we are here. We are not fighting for glory or conquest. We are fighting for the right of every species in this galaxy to live." He paused, letting his words settle. "Earth is behind us. The Council is watching us. And the future of everything is depending on us. So let us show the Harrow what humanity can do." The Eternal Dawn flew on, carrying the hopes of billions into the void. The Harrow fleet filled the sky like a swarm of metal locusts. Billions of machines, each one twisted and wrong. Ships that had once belonged to living species, now corrupted and transformed into weapons of destruction. Captain Tejo stood on the bridge of the Eternal Dawn and felt no fear. Only cold determination. "Distance to enemy fleet?" he asked. 50,000 kilometers in closing, Lieutenant Hanna reported. "They have detected us. They are changing course to intercept." On the main screen, the Harrow ships moved with horrible coordination. There was no chaos in their movements, no hesitation. They flowed together like water, each machine knowing exactly where to go, and they were fast. So terribly fast. "All weapons ready," Engineer Dongwu announced. "Shields at maximum power." "Communications?" Tejo asked. Officer Sumin shook her head. "Nothing, Captain. The Harrow do not talk. They only consume." Tejo nodded slowly. He had read the ancient records. He knew what the Harrow did to their victims. They did not kill quickly. They infected. They transformed. They turned living beings into parts of their machine army. But that was about to change. "Fire main cannon," Tejo ordered. "Target the lead ship." The Eternal Dawn's primary weapon was the largest ever built by human hands, a beam of pure energy that could cut through mountains. It fired with a sound like thunder, crossing the void in an instant. The lead Harrow ship exploded into fragments. "Direct hit," Hanna shouted. "The target is destroyed." A cheer went up from the bridge crew. But Tejo raised his hand for silence. "Wait," he said. "Watch the fragments." The pieces of the destroyed ship floated in space. In previous battles, Harrow debris would quickly reform, rebuilding itself from nothing. But this time, something different happened. The fragments stayed dead. They did not move. They did not reform. "Captain," Daesung said excitedly from his station, "I am scanning the debris. There is no energy signature, no activity at all. Our weapons completely destroyed the Harrow programming." Tejo allowed himself a small smile. "Then we know the answer. Human technology is not compatible with the Harrow. We can kill them permanently." "We can win," Hanna whispered. "We can fight," Tejo corrected. "Winning will take much more than one ship. All hands. Prepare for full engagement. Let us show these machines what Earth can do." The Eternal Dawn dove into the Harrow swarm. What followed was the most intense battle in human history. Thousands of enemy ships surrounded the Dreadnought, attacking from every direction. Energy beams slashed through the void. Missiles exploded against shields. The sound of impacts rang through the hull like endless drums. But the Eternal Dawn fought back with terrible fury. Its cannons roared without rest, cutting through Harrow vessels like a hot knife through ice. Every shot was a kill. Every hit was permanent. And throughout the chaos, one incredible truth became clear. The Harrow could not infect human technology. Enemy programs tried to break into the ship's computers. They failed completely. Human code was too different, too strange for the ancient machines to understand. It was like trying to put water into a container made of fire. "Captain!" Sumin shouted over the noise. I am receiving signals from Earth's fleet. They have arrived. Taeho looked at the tactical display. Behind the Harrow swarm, hundreds of new contacts appeared. Human ships, dreadnoughts, cruisers, destroyers, all of them rushing to join the fight. And they were not alone. Council ships are also approaching, Suman continued. Thousands of them. They are forming up behind our lines. Admiral Yuna's voice came through the speakers. Captain Taeho, excellent work. You have proven that we can hurt them. Now let us finish this together. The human fleet spread out like a wall of steel between the Harrow and the galaxy. Council ships gathered behind them, their weapons ready but held in reserve. They knew they could not fight the machines directly, but they could support. They could rescue. They could protect. And in front of them all, humanity stood as a shield. The battle lasted for 3 days. 3 days of constant fighting, of endless explosions, of screaming engines and burning ships. Humans died. Many humans died. But for every ship they lost, they destroyed 100 enemies. The Harrow had never faced anything like this. For 8,000 years, they had been unstoppable. Every species they encountered eventually fell to infection. Every weapon became useless against them. But human weapons kept killing, human ships kept fighting, human soldiers kept pushing forward, no matter how bad things got. On the 3rd day, something changed. The Harrow began to retreat. Captain, Hana said with disbelief in her voice. Enemy fleet is pulling back. They are withdrawing to the galactic edge. Taeho slumped in his chair. His body ached. His mind was exhausted. But through the fog of tiredness, he felt something warm spreading through his chest. They had done it. They had pushed back the ancient enemy. The communication screen lit up with Admiral Yuna's face. She looked just as tired as he felt, but she was smiling. Well done, Captain. Well done to everyone. The Harrow are running. We have won the first battle. The first battle, Taeho repeated. There will be more. Yes. But now we know we can win. Yuna's smile grew wider. And the galaxy knows it too. No. Smile grew wider. No. 1 month later, Captain Taeho stood in the great chamber of the Galactic Council, the same room where aliens had once begged humanity for mercy. But today, everything was different. Every seat was filled. Representatives from hundreds of species looked down at him, but they were not afraid anymore. They were grateful, hopeful. Some of them were even crying. High Counselor Marin rose from the highest seat. The silver-skinned alien's face was peaceful for the first time since Taeho had met the counselor. Captain Park Taeho, Marin said formally. On behalf of every species in this galaxy, we thank you. We thank Earth. We thank all of humanity. The counselor paused, emotion heavy in every word. For 8,000 years, we waited in fear. We believed the prophecy meant our doom. But we were wrong. The ship from the dead zone did not bring destruction. It brought hope. It brought salvation. Marin extended all 4 arms toward Taeho. The Galactic Council hereby declares humanity to be a full member species with all rights and privileges. More than that, we name Earth as the shield of the galaxy, protector of all who cannot protect themselves. Cheers erupted from every corner of the chamber. Aliens who had once run from human ships now celebrated them. Species that had feared the dead zone now saw it as their greatest ally. Taeho thought about his crew, about all the people who had given their lives in the battle, about Earth, so far away, waiting for news. He thought about what humanity had always dreamed of finding among the stars. Friendship, purpose, a place in something greater than themselves. They had found all of it. And they had earned it through blood, courage, and sacrifice. Thank you, High Counselor, Taeho said quietly. Humanity accepts this honor. We will stand with the galaxy for as long as we exist. He looked up at the countless alien faces watching him. Friends now. Family. Perhaps. Someday. The darkness is not over, he continued. The Harrow will return. But when they do, they will find us waiting. All of us. Together. He raised his fist high. This galaxy does not belong to fear anymore. It belongs to hope. And hope never surrenders. The chamber exploded with cheers once more. The sound echoed off the walls, carrying through space itself. A galaxy that had trembled in fear now roared with joy. And at the center of it all stood humanity. Born in isolation, raised in shadow, but destined, at last, to bring light to the stars.